Every parent's worst nightmare became reality in Westminster, Colorado on October 5th, 2012. What started as a routine missing child report would expose critical gaps in our systems and forever change how communities protect their children. This is the story of Jessica Ridgway, a 10-year-old girl whose disappearance revealed how easily evil can hide in plain sight and how a single lab error nearly let a killer escape justice. Before we dive in, let us know where you're watching from today, and please consider to subscribe. On that cold October morning, Jessica bundled up in her winter clothes and stepped out into the snow at 8:30. Her mother Sarah had just finished working the night shift and watched her responsible daughter walk toward Witt Elementary School, trusting she would arrive safely as she had countless times before. Jessica was a good kid, a homebody who knew the rules about strangers. But when Sarah woke up that afternoon, there was a chilling message waiting. The school had called. Jessica never showed up to class. Panic set in immediately. Sarah rushed to Jessica's friend's house and pounded on the door. No answer. She drove to the school, but it was closed. Back to the friend's house, banging on the door again. Still nothing. Finally, she made the call that would grip an entire community in fear. "My daughter's missing," Sarah told the 911 operator, her voice shaking. "I guess she never made it to school this morning." "How old is your daughter?" "She's 10. Within hours, police were interviewing Jessica's family. Her grandmother had been dreading this moment for years. "I've been so afraid this was going to happen," she said. "I just always worried that somebody would take one of my children or grandchildren." The family mentioned troubling recent incidents. Jessica had told them about suspicious people at the local park 3 weeks earlier, and back in May, there had been an attempted attack on a jogger at nearby Kettner Lake. A man with a chemical-soaked rag had tried to assault a woman, but she fought him off. Police never caught him. The search for Jessica became Westminster's top priority. Officers, volunteers, and search dogs combed through neighborhoods and parks. But the little girl was nowhere to be found. 2 days later, a man in neighboring Superior found Jessica's backpack on the street. Grey with pink flowers containing her purple glasses, school books, clothes that smelled of urine, and a water bottle with her name on it. The discovery sent chills through investigators, but it was nothing compared to what came next. On October 10th, sanitation workers picking up trash along a rural road found a black garbage bag that seemed oddly heavy. When they cut it open, they discovered human remains. The torso of a small child with no head, arms or legs. All internal organs had been removed. "I don't want to see another black trash bag ever again," one worker said. It had to be hard for the person that even did it. 2 days later, police confirmed the remains belonged to Jessica Ridgway. The search for a missing girl had become a homicide investigation. But investigators found something else in that bag. A wooden cross with strange markings carved into it, seemingly placed there deliberately. Using DNA from Jessica's remains, investigators developed a suspect profile and began collecting samples from hundreds of people. Every man connected to Jessica's neighborhood, school, or family was tested. The investigation became one of Colorado's largest ever. Then came an unexpected FBI tip. A local woman had grown suspicious about her neighbor's 17-year-old son, Austin Sigg. What troubled her wasn't just one thing, but a collection of disturbing details. Austin had dropped out of high school to study mortuary science. His mother had posted online about a school project he'd done on the fastest, least messy way to dispose of a body. And Austin often wore hemp necklaces with crosses, similar to the one found with Jessica's remains. The FBI quickly interviewed Austin and collected his DNA. His mother, Mindy, felt relieved. "At least they can rule him out now," she texted the neighbor. "Should be the end of it for us." When Austin's DNA results came back from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, they showed no match. Another dead end in an increasingly frustrating case. 18 days passed with no breakthrough. Then on the evening of October 23rd, everything changed with a single phone call. "I need you to come to my house," a woman's voice told the 911 operator, barely able to speak. "My son wants to turn himself in for the Jessica Ridgway murder." It was Mindy Sigg, the same Austin who had been cleared by DNA testing was now confessing. "He just confessed to killing her," Mindy said, her voice breaking. "He gave me details and her remains are in my house." When Austin came to the phone, his voice was eerily calm. "I murdered Jessica Ridgway," he said, without hesitation. "I have proof that I did it. There is no other question. You just have to send a squad car and I will answer all the questions you want to ask." Police arrived to find Austin waiting calmly. As they arrested him, he asked a chilling question. "Do you think this will bring any comfort to the Ridgway family by seeing me brought to justice?" At the station, Austin's confession would prove to be one of the most disturbing in Colorado history. He described driving to Jessica's neighborhood that morning with the intent of abducting any female who crossed his path. "I was hunting," he told detectives. "Random place, random time, random everything." He parked and waited in his back seat. When Jessica walked by, playing with a snowball, he grabbed her and pulled her into the car. She was terrified, asking if she would see her mother again and worrying about being late to school because her teacher would be angry. Austin zip-tied her hands and feet, drove her to his house, and took her to his bedroom. He put Netflix cartoons on the TV and even brought her a Coke and pizza. Then, after about an hour, he asked her to change clothes. "I walked up behind her and initially tried to use zip ties to strangle her," he confessed with the same emotionless tone. "But those cut into my skin, so I switched to strangling her with my hands. When I choked her, I closed my eyes and said, 'I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.'" After Jessica was dead, Austin put her body in his bathtub and filled it with water to make sure. Then began the most horrific part of his crimes. "I felt like dismemberment was the only way I could conceivably hide the body," he explained. "From that forensic science class, we learned about serial killers. The successful ones always seem to make the body disappear completely." Using a utility knife and electric saw, Austin spent that morning dismembering Jessica's body. He stuffed her remains into garbage bags and hid them in a backyard pool shed, later moving them to a crawl space under his house when he worried about search dogs. The wooden cross was his attempt to mislead investigators. "I was going to make some markings like 666, something religious and demonic, to get them looking for a religious fanatic. I don't fit that bill." Austin also confessed to the earlier Kettner Lake attack. He had made chloroform and waited for a jogger to assault, but she fought him off. The truth about the DNA error was devastating. Austin's original sample had been lost by the lab, and they had mistakenly reported no match. When investigators tested a fresh sample, it was a perfect match for evidence from both Jessica's murder and the Kettner Lake attack. Austin's disturbing psychology was rooted in years of escalating violent fantasies. Since age 13, he had consumed increasingly violent pornography involving bondage and dismemberment. His mother had sent him to therapy for what she called an addiction to pornography, but the treatment hadn't addressed the violent nature of his obsessions. "Force, probably," Austin said when asked about his fantasies. "Being able to control what someone does." What made this case even more chilling was how Austin had appeared completely normal to everyone around him. His girlfriend, who had been interviewed during the investigation, was shocked to learn what her boyfriend had done. She told detectives they had talked about Jessica's case, discussing how they couldn't understand how anyone could do such a thing to a child. She never noticed anything unusual about Austin's behavior in the weeks after the murder. Austin's grandmother was equally devastated by his confession. "There's got to be something wrong," she said. "He's not this person. Maybe he made it up, like I've heard about people making false confessions just to be famous." But the physical evidence, the DNA match, and Austin's detailed knowledge of facts that had never been released to the public made it clear that his confession was horrifyingly real. He knew details about the crime scene, about Jessica's final moments, and about evidence that only the killer could have known. During his interrogation, Austin led police to the crawl space under his house where he had hidden the remaining parts of Jessica's body. Her skull, arms, and legs were recovered, finally giving her family the closure of knowing that all of her had been found. The case revealed multiple system failures that had allowed Austin's violent tendencies to escalate unchecked. His pornography addiction had been identified when he was 13, but the therapy he received hadn't addressed the increasingly violent nature of his fantasies. Warning signs had been documented but never connected. Teachers, counselors, and family members had seen pieces of the puzzle, but no one had put them together to see the complete picture of a dangerous individual. The DNA processing error was perhaps the most devastating failure. If Austin's original sample hadn't been lost, if the lab had properly tested and matched his DNA, Jessica might still be alive today. The bureaucratic mistake had given a killer precious weeks of freedom, during which he could have struck again. Austin's choice to study mortuary science now seemed sickeningly prophetic. His interest in body disposal wasn't academic curiosity, but preparation for murder. His mother's proud social media posts about his school project on body disposal took on a horrifying new meaning. The case also highlighted how predators can hide in plain sight. Austin wasn't a suspicious stranger lurking in shadows. He was a neighbor's son, a teenager taking college classes, someone who seemed to be getting his life together after dropping out of high school. He was exactly the type of person parents wouldn't think twice about seeing in their neighborhood. This normalcy was perhaps the most frightening aspect of the entire case. If Austin Sigg could commit such horrific crimes while maintaining a facade of being a regular teenager, how many other potential predators might be hiding among us, their violent fantasies building toward an inevitable explosion of violence? The case moved swiftly through the legal system. Austin pleaded guilty to 15 charges relating to Jessica's kidnapping, murder, and sexual assault, the Kettner Lake attack, and possession of explicit material involving minors. Despite being 17 at the time, which spared him from the death penalty, the judge showed no mercy. Austin received life in prison plus at least 80 consecutive years, ensuring he would never be released. But it was the judge's words during sentencing that captured the community's horror. Looking directly at Austin, he said, "Evil is apparently real." It was present in our community on October 5th, 2012. On that day, its name was Austin Sigg. Those words echoed through the courtroom and beyond, becoming a defining moment that acknowledged the incomprehensible nature of what had happened to Jessica Ridgway. The Jessica Ridgway case exposed critical failures in multiple systems that are supposed to protect children. A teenager's violent pornography addiction had escalated unchecked despite early intervention. Warning signs were documented but never connected across different institutions. A DNA processing error nearly let a killer escape justice. The case forced communities nationwide to confront uncomfortable truths about predatory behavior and system failures. Schools began implementing new protocols for handling missing student reports. No longer would a child's absence be treated as routine until parents were immediately contacted. Law enforcement agencies revised their DNA processing procedures, adding multiple checks to prevent samples from being lost or mislabeled. Mental health professionals began developing better screening tools for identifying violent fantasies in adolescent patients. But perhaps most importantly, the case changed how communities watch out for their children. Parents began having different conversations with their kids about safety. Neighbors started paying closer attention to unusual behavior. The collective vigilance that emerged from Jessica's tragedy created a protective network that hadn't existed before. Yet the case also revealed the power of community response in the face of unthinkable tragedy. Within hours of Jessica's disappearance, hundreds of volunteers joined the search. Neighbors trusted their instincts and reported suspicions to authorities. A community united in grief transformed that pain into positive action that would benefit children for years to come. The neighbor who called the FBI with her suspicions about Austin became a symbol of the importance of trusting one's instincts. Her intuition, her willingness to speak up, despite potentially being wrong, ultimately led to Austin's capture. Her courage demonstrated that ordinary citizens play a crucial role in keeping their communities safe. The sanitation workers who discovered Jessica's remains also became unlikely heroes. Despite the trauma of their discovery, they immediately contacted police and cooperated fully with the investigation. Their professionalism in handling such a horrific situation helped preserve crucial evidence that would later convict Austin. 1 year after Jessica's death, Westminster dedicated Jessica Ridgway Memorial Park just down the street from where she lived. The park incorporates her favorite colors, purple and green, creating a vibrant space where children can play safely. It stands as a symbol of hope rising from tragedy, a place where Jessica's memory lives on in joy rather than sorrow. The memorial park became more than just a tribute. It became a gathering place for the community, a reminder of their shared commitment to protecting children, and a symbol of how love and remembrance can triumph over evil. Parents bring their children there to play, often telling them about the little girl the park honors and the importance of staying safe. Jessica's case led to the creation of new child safety programs in schools throughout Colorado. Her story became part of educational curricula designed to teach children about recognizing dangerous situations while not frightening them unnecessarily. The delicate balance of maintaining childhood innocence while providing protection became a focus of child development experts nationwide. The ripple effects of Jessica's case extended far beyond Westminster. Law enforcement agencies across the country studied the investigation, learning from both its successes and its failures. The DNA lab error led to industry-wide reforms in evidence processing. The missed warning signs about Austin's escalating behavior prompted new training for educators, counselors, and healthcare providers. Today, Austin Sigg remains locked away in a Colorado prison where he will spend the rest of his life. He will never again have the opportunity to harm another innocent person. The system that failed to stop him before his crimes has ensured that he can never repeat them. Jessica Ridgway was just 10 years old when her life was cut short on what should have been an ordinary walk to school. She loved purple and green, worried about being late to class, and played with snowballs on cold October mornings. Her story serves as a tragic reminder of how precious childhood innocence is and how vigilant we must be in protecting it. The little girl who never made it to school that day will never be forgotten. Her legacy lives on in the memorial park that bears her name, in the community that rallied around her family, in the systems that were changed because of her case, and in the reminder that even in our darkest moments we must never stop fighting for justice and protecting those who cannot protect themselves. This case taught us that evil can hide behind the most ordinary faces, that systems can fail when we need them most, but that communities united in purpose can transform tragedy into meaningful change. Jessica Ridgway's story is ultimately not just about the evil that took her life, but about the good that rose from unthinkable loss to ensure no other family would endure the same nightmare. Her memory continues to inspire vigilance, compassion, and the unwavering commitment to child safety that emerged from one community's darkest hour. If Jessica's story touched you, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more true stories that remind us to protect the innocent, speak out for justice, and never forget those we've lost.